Okay, well, my name's Harvey Edwards, and I'm a member of Anchor Church, and been asked to have this interview based on my experience in practicing medicine in Tuscaloosa for the last 35 years. So I'm one of those extremely fortunate people who has been blessed to be in a vocation that has been nothing but a pure joy and pleasure for me. And if I was told that I had to live this life again, and I could choose what I would do with this life, I would choose to do exactly what I've done. And I didn't come to this out of a very direct path. My father was in the construction business, and I had always thought I might go into that with him, but I found out when I began to move into more supervisory roles that I enjoyed a different type of relationship than I could develop in that kind of work setting, and began to cast around for different things, and thought I might go into counseling, and specifically pastoral counseling, and pursued that for a while. Honestly, I wasn't sure that was really met the complete approval of my father, and about that same time, a college Sunday school teacher of mine suggested that I might ought to think about a career in medicine. So I really went into medicine with the thought that I might be a psychiatrist. And but after I got into medicine and began to go through the clinical years and the clerkships, it began to be very clear to me that I really loved the specialty of OBGYN. And in retrospect, as in so many things in life, I can see how the Lord led me, though I was not nearly as aware of it, of His direction at the time it was actually occurring. So I've been practicing obstetrics and gynecology now for 35 years. The last 2.5 years I have retired from the practice of delivering babies, and I just do gynecology now. But as I said, it's been a real pleasure. When Michael asked me to do this and said he would like me to talk about how I've seen the Lord work in my practice and in my profession over the years, at first my inclination is want to write about this, but I could tell he really wanted me to talk about it, so I agreed to do this. But I would have to say that I may have the easiest vocation that there is to translate one's faith walk into service. The job of a physician is to care about and seek the good of his patients, and being a child of God prepares one very well to do that. So when I think about how the Lord has worked in my profession through me, I would honestly say that it's been a journey for me. When I first went into medicine, I was highly influenced by the experiences of my peers in medicine, and the way I thought about medicine was sort of as a profession and a practice and even a business. But as I practiced medicine and walked with the Lord over the last 35 years, I have evolved in the way I look at what my practice should be. And so now I think the most important thing, and I would say for any Christian who wants to practice medicine, the most important thing is for me to think about who I really am, and then to think about who the patient really is, and everything else sort of follows naturally from that. So who I am is I'm a saved sinner. I'm a forgiven sinner, a child of God, adopted into a loving family, headed by a Father who is perfectly good, perfectly merciful, perfectly trustworthy, and engaged in every circumstance of my life, and preparing me to spend eternity enjoying and marveling in His goodness. And my patient is an image bearer of God, someone who is totally loved by the Lord and totally cared for and thought about, and someone who has been led into my presence on a specific day for me to discover what it is I'm supposed to do. Ephesians 2:10 says that we are His workmanship, and that God has prepared works beforehand for us that we are to walk in them. And I feel like my job with a patient now is to discover what work I'm supposed to do in the life of each patient as I see them that day. So I would say that sometimes the most important thing that I have done, and that has been, I think, the best way that I can love a patient, is to listen carefully and respectfully. And sometimes that's all that a patient needs. A patient needs someone to listen to them. And a lot of my patients have never had, or have rarely had, anybody listen to them carefully and respectfully. Sometimes what is needed is reassurance. Sometimes what is needed is encouragement. Sometimes what is needed is to be heard by someone who has listened carefully and who's willing to think carefully about a particular problem the patient brings to the forefront. Sometimes what's needed is that a patient needs someone who has taken care to stay abreast of current medical issues, and who gives careful thought and consideration to their particular problem, so that a good plan of treatment can be formulated. Sometimes patients are in the midst of very trying circumstances, very stressful circumstances, and what they need is someone to support and encourage them. There are times when I have felt, and this has gotten to be a lot more common in recent years than it was in earlier years, but there are times when I feel led to ask permission to pray for patients. And I would say that when I've done that, I've essentially never received a no answer, and I've usually received feedback that let me know that that was very much appreciated. And there are some times when a patient has come in with a situation that is stressful or tender or painful or hurtful in some way or anxiety provoking, and I've felt led by the Spirit to ask permission to step outside the physician-patient professional relationship and speak to that person one-on-one, as on a perfectly level basis, as one friend to another. And I've never had a patient refuse permission for that either. So there have been a lot of occasions, more in my more recent practice than in my earlier practice, in which I have been able to share what the Lord has done for me in my life with a patient, and I have been able to at least have opportunity to share Christ with patients. So there are so many opportunities in the field that I've been in to celebrate with patients, to experience joyful occasions with them, to walk with them through difficult circumstances, to support, to encourage. And my hope is that as I have tried to figure out the way that the Lord wanted me to express, as a member of His body, express love to a patient in a given time, in a given circumstance, that in some way I will have served His purpose in the life of that person. So that's probably more than I was supposed to say, but it's been a real blessing, a joy to have this role, to be able to make a ministry out of something that has been so enjoyable to me, and I feel like I've been more blessed in the ministry that can be practiced through my vocation than anyone could ever hope to be.